The Groom of the Stool was the most intimate of an English monarch's courtiers, responsible for assisting the king in the performance of the bodily functions of excretion and ablution. The physical intimacy of the role naturally led to him becoming a man in whom much confidence was placed by his royal master and with whom many royal secrets were shared as a matter of course. This secret information, whilst it would never have been revealed, to the discredit of his honor, in turn led to him becoming feared and respected and therefore powerful within the royal court in his own right. The office developed gradually over decades and centuries into one of administration of the royal finances, and under Henry VII, the Groom of the Stool became a powerful official involved in setting national fiscal policy under the chamber system. History. Origins. The Groom of the Stool was, in the earliest times, a male servant in the household of an English monarch who was responsible for assisting the king in the performance of the bodily functions of excretion and ablution, whilst maintaining an aura of royal decorum over the proceedings. The appellation, Groom of the Close Stool, derived from stool, the item of furniture now called a commode used in the performance of the function and closed because it was used in a closed and private room. It also appears as Groom of the Stool, as the word groom comes from the Old Low Franconian word grom. In the Tudor era, by the Tudor age, the Groom of the Stool was a substantial figure like Hugh Denys, who was a member of the Gloucestershire gentry, married to an aristocratic wife, and who died possessing at least 4 manors. The function had been transformed into that of a virtual minister of the royal treasury, being then an essential figure in the king's management of fiscal policy. In the early years of Henry VIII's reign, the title was awarded to court companions of the king who spent time with him in the privy chamber. These were generally the sons of noblemen or important members of the gentry. In time they came to act as virtual personal secretaries to the king, carrying out a variety of administrative tasks within his private rooms. The position was an especially prized one, as it allowed one unobstructed access to the king. David Starkey writes, "The Groom of the Stool had the most menial tasks. His standing, though, was the highest. Clearly then, the royal body service must have been seen as entirely honourable, without a trace of the demeaning of the humiliating. Further, the mere word of the gentleman of the privy chamber was sufficient evidence in itself of the king's will, and the Groom of the Stool bore the indefinable charisma of the monarchy." Abolition. In 1558, the male domination of royal private quarters came to an end, and Cat Ashley was appointed First Lady of the Bedchamber by Elizabeth I of England, a position that put her in charge of the bedchamber, a duty formerly performed by the Groom of the Stool. The office effectively came to an end when it was neutralized in 1559. Re-establishment and discontinuation. The office was exclusively one serving male monarchs, so on the death of Elizabeth and the accession of James I, the office was revived. The holder of the position became in the Stuart era the senior lord of the bedchamber, always a great nobleman. The position had considerable power because of its intimate access to the king. During the reign of Charles I, the term stool appears to have lost its original signification of chair, more particularly commode. The office fell into disuse with the accession of Queen Victoria, and made only a brief final appearance early in the reign of her successor, with the spelling having been altered to stole, from the Latin stola, a long outer garment, a robe worn by Roman ladies and male flute players at the festival of Minerva. The Tudor historian David Starkey classes this change as classic Victorianism. When the Victorians came to look at this office, they spelt it S-T-O-L-E, and imagined all kinds of fictions about elaborate robes draped around the neck of the monarch at the coronation. The office was finally discontinued following the accession of King Edward VII in 1901, to whom a groom of the Stool had been appointed while he was Prince of Wales. Royal ablution today, often when the visit of a modern monarch is planned, for example during the construction of a new building, a special royal lavatory pavilion is built for the occasion. List of Grooms of the Stool. Grooms of the Stool under Henry VII. Hugh Denys of Osterley. Grooms of the Stool under Henry VIII. Sir William Compton, Sir Henry Norris, Sir Thomas Heneage, Sir Anthony Denny. Heneage and Denny, as servants whom he used secretly about him, were privy to Henry VIII's most intimate confidences about Anne of Cleves. He told them he doubted her virginity on account of her breasts slack. Grooms of the Stool to Edward VI. Michael Stanhope. Grooms of the Stool to Charles I (1643). Henry Rich, 1st Earl of Holland, 1643 c. 1649. William Seymour, 1st Marquis of Hertford, c.1649. Thomas Blagge. Grooms of the Stool to Henrietta Maria of France, 1660 c. 1667–1673. Elizabeth Boyle, Countess of Guildford. Grooms of the Stool to Charles II, 1660. William Seymour, 1st Marquis of Hertford, 1660–1685. Sir John Granville. Grooms of the Stool to James II, 1685–1688. Henry Mordaunt, 2nd Earl of Peterborough. Grooms of the Stool to William III, 1689–1700. William Bentinck, 1st Earl of Portland, 1700–1702. Henry Sidney, 1st Earl of Romney. Grooms of the Stool to Queen Anne, 1702–1711. Sarah Churchill, Countess of Marlborough, 1711–1714. Elizabeth Seymour, Duchess of Somerset. Grooms of the Stool to Prince George, 1683–1685. John Berkeley, 3rd Baron Berkeley of Stratton, 1685–1687. Robert Lecky, 3rd Earl of Scarsdale, 1697–1708. John West, 6th Baron de la Warr. Grooms of the Stool to George I, 1714–1719. Lionel Sackville, 1st Duke of Dorset, 1719–1722. Charles Spencer, 3rd Earl of Sunderland, 1722–1723. Vacant, 1723–1727. Francis Godolphin, 2nd Earl of Godolphin. Grooms of the Stool to George II, 1727–1735. Francis Godolphin, 2nd Earl of Godolphin, 1735–1750. Henry Herbert, 9th Earl of Pembroke, 1751–1755. Willem and Van Keppel, 2nd Earl of Albemarle, 1755–1760. William Nassau de Zulestein, 4th Earl of Rochford. Grooms of the Stool to George III, 1760–1761. John Stuart, 3rd Earl of Bute, 1761–1770. Francis Hastings, 10th Earl of Huntingdon, 1770–1775. George Harvey, 2nd Earl of Bristol, 1775. Thomas Thynne, 3rd Viscount Weymouth, 1775–1782. John Ashburnham, 2nd Earl of Ashburnham, 1782–1796. Thomas Thynne, 3rd Viscount Weymouth, 1796 to 1804, John Kerr, 3rd Duke of Roxburgh, 1804 to 1812, George Finch, 9th Earl of Winchelsea, 1812 to 1820, Charles Paulet, 13th Marquess of Winchester. Grooms of the Stool to George IV, 1820 to 1830, Charles Paulet, 13th Marquess of Winchester. Grooms of the Stool to William IV, 1830 to 1837, Charles Paulet, 13th Marquess of Winchester. Grooms of the Stool to Prince Albert, 1840 to 1841, Lord Robert Grosvenor, 1841 to 1846, Brownlow Cecil, 2nd Marquess of Exeter, 1846 to 1859, James Hamilton, 1st Duke of Abercorn, 1859 to 1861, Denise Roybal, 5th Earl Spencer. Grooms of the Stool to Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, 1862 to 1866, John Spencer, 5th Earl Spencer, 1866 to 1877, Denise Lewis, 3rd Earl of Dokie, 1877 to 1883, Sir William Knollys, 1883 to 1901, James Hamilton, 2nd Duke of Abercorn.